This is our final budget hearing for the 2022-2023 school district budget. As we just remind our board members and our public of our timeline, the initial budget was presented on March 24th, and that was a tentative adoption. What that means is that while the overall budget amount cannot change, the board and the administration is allowed to make adjustments within different items. It was sent to the county for approval on March 25th, and we received full approval by the county on April 8th, which is a very nice thing for us to have such a nice quick turnaround. We discussed the budget again on our April 14th meeting, and at this point our April 28th meeting represents our final public hearing and then ultimate budget adoption. As a reminder to our community, our mission statement heavily influences the aspects of the school district budget, and our mission statement is that we work to partner with our families and the greater community to make sure that we challenge and nurture all students academically, to develop confident learners who are passionate, generous, appreciative, and invested in their diverse world. This is accomplished through innovative opportunities that inspire lifelong learning, critical thinking, and problem solving, creative exploration, and the democratic collaboration among students and staff. Our 3 strategic planning goals, just briefly, our first goal speaks to innovative and academic experiences for our students. Our second goal speaks to social and emotional learning and mental health. And our third goal speaks to how we support the adult learners through professional growth in our school community. Each year, as we begin to develop our budget, our Board of Education, specifically through our Finance Committee and through board goals that are set earlier in the year, establish some parameters for our operating budget. And in the case of our budget for 2022-23, those parameters include managing and controlling expenses in the operating budget with the goal of achieving an end-of-year surplus of 2.5% of the total operating budget, to provide adequate funding that does not diminish to the greatest degree possible current services to students, including facilities and security, and support the goals of the strategic plan, and finally, to ensure a tax levy of 2% exclusive of spending growth adjustments and banked cap. And board members, this budget that is presented to you this evening accomplishes all 3 of those goals. We've begun in previous years to mark out for our board members in our community what our enrollment is looking like. We know as a board, especially through the demographic study that was done nearly 2 years ago at this point, that the district is facing future increased enrollment as a result of developments that will be occurring in town. The one thing that I think has worked in our favor is that COVID slowed down a lot of that. It has not stopped it though, and we do know that several of the projects have broken ground, so we anticipate students enrolling in the next several years. This slide provides, the yellow line to the left provides a historic overview of student enrollment from 2017-18 up until this current year, which shows just over 7,000 students enrolled in pre-K through 12. And then beyond that to the right, it breaks out into 2 numbers. The orange is the baseline, that's the lower grid, and that is baseline based on just birth rate and where our enrollment would go if we looked at that only. The yellow line, the higher bar, looks at those same numbers that are adjusted for housing growth. And we'll continue to break it out like that as long as we have the data to do so. Our district did receive additional state aid in the amount of just over $1.4 million. That is being applied to a new supervisor of visual and performing arts position and 2 strings teachers, as our program is now transitioning into the middle school, which is very exciting. Additional special education teachers, specifically 2 new preschool teachers, 3 resource teachers, and a multiply disabled teacher, or a teacher for classes of multiply disabled students. And then additional special education-related services, staff members including occupational therapists, LDTC, and speech teachers. We are upgrading wireless and technology, and so the additional state aid will also be applied there. Other items of specific interest within the budget include expansion of instruction in areas of business, music, humanities, and STEM. I know that our board members have heard in the past from our STEM supervisors and our business teacher and supervisors about some new courses that are being offered and are really very attractive to our students. We have a new geometry course for our grade 8 students. This is the first year in September that we will be offering that. This is a result of a renewed focus on accelerated math instruction that began several years ago in our grade 5 classes, and now those students are now sitting 7th graders and they are ready for geometry in 8th grade. They've already had algebra as 7th graders. We have new elementary social studies texts and resources that will be purchased this summer, and then also new middle school social studies textbooks to accommodate a new scope and sequence at those grade levels. All of our athletic and extracurricular programs are continue to be offered with no reduction in personnel or activity. We will be undergoing phase 1 of a phone system upgrade for our offices and classrooms, and then additional materials to support our special education programs. We have a number of capital projects that are going on. You know, we are a large district with 14 school buildings in addition to the CEC building. We are able, with this budget, to fund window replacements at Intervale School, several of our elementary gymnasiums, Parsippany High School, and Troy Hills. These are much needed facility upgrades that not only increase security at the schools, but also increase energy output as it gets rid of some seal leaks and should also provide us with dual pane glass. We have a radio system and a wireless upgrade, as I noted earlier, at both of our high schools. District door replacements throughout the district community. A soundboard upgrade for Parsippany Hills High School. Partial roof replacement at the CEC. Flooring, paving, and concrete work throughout the district. We have some classroom addition startup costs, which have been reviewed with the board previously. Replacement of some maintenance equipment. Also additional equipment for the wellness rooms at both of our high schools. 2 gym scoreboards for our Parsippany High School, and a new treadmill at our Brooklawn Middle School. This slide shows you through a pie chart our revenue sources. Like many suburban or town districts in New Jersey, the majority of the portion of where our money comes from to fund our budget comes from our local taxes. Unlike a larger city like a Trenton or a Newark or a Patterson, where there is more state aid that comprises their budget, townships like Parsippany really draw heavily from local taxes, and that is the way the state funding model works. That is certainly not our choice as a community. This slide shows you budget appropriations, and I think what is most notable, not unlike every other district in New Jersey, when you look at where the bulk of the costs or the allocations of the budget come from, it's really instruction and salary and benefits. This provides information on how taxes are calculated and where the average tax increase for a home in Parsippany would be, and that is our presentation, board members. I know I can address questions, or Ms. Tedesco from her seat can also address questions if you have any.